Comix with Comix Wellspring.
Well, hello. We are doing Inspired Ink again. Dude, it's been a minute since we've done the show. I love doing these interviews. You guys know I love doing interviews. We've been saving them for precious, precious moments to interview some of the most top tier people around. Our Kickstarter interview, Wham Stand, IC3. So many cool people have come onto the live shows for you guys to ask questions, for us to continue doing Inspired Ink. And it's just the coolest interview show for indie comics, for you guys to get the scoop on everything, to know what CWS is up to talk to cool creators. And we're talking to like one of the coolest people in the industry. We're really becoming an industry show at this point, which is even more exciting for you all. But hello, Will Graves, head of content at GlobalComix. Will, how are you?
Hey, Brandon, I'm so happy to be here. And by the way, that was a perfect intro.
Thank you.
You're so good at introducing the show. But
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. And I'm excited to dive into talking about comics and talk about all the exciting things that we have in the works.
Yeah, and there's some exciting news that dropped that we're going to lead into a little bit. I don't want to, I don't want to eat the cake before the meal. You know what I mean? There's so much cool stuff on how we became acquainted and why you're on the show today and how all this is happening. But first, a little bit about you, Will. You're the head of content at GlobalComix. What does that entail exactly for our audience?
Yeah. So I wear a hat every day, and there's a lot of different hats I have to put on to be head of content at GlobalComix. We do a lot of work trying to get the right content in front of the right people, in front of the right readers on our platform. So at least a third of my time is spent on, working with our community team and our marketing team and even business development team to bring content on board to the platform. And this is multiple people at the company helping out with that. So I can, and figuring out how to present it in the best way to our platform users and readers. So we think about that a lot, look at data of readership trends and what titles are performing well and, what titles that we should elevate and when. So it's really, really interesting to sort of take a data-driven approach to curation and discoverability on the platform. So I think about that a lot. I also run our verticalization studio, which is we work with publishers and independent creators to take their existing print comics and we transform them into vertical scroll comics. And you could find these all at GC Originals on GlobalComix. So we were running that studio for a bit. We're sort of on hiatus right now for publishing, but it'll come back soon. And if you're interested in like a bunch of classic and like newer sort of genre focused like independent comic titles, but would rather read them on your phone, check out the GlobalComix Originals or GC Tunes. And another part of my job is business development in some ways. How I met you, Brandon, and spearheading these initiatives like what we'll talk about later. And as well as our sort of original content studio where we actually put together creative teams to produce stories.
Dude, I love that. I mean, because there's, when you look at the industry and you look at comics and you have your physical medium, you have the digital realm, and the digital realm has always been kind of trying to figure things out. We've seen like I'm sure people have used Marvel Unlimited, DC's little short, or I guess that app still exists. I forget. It was disappeared and it kind of came back in a new format. I don't even remember what DC's app is called anymore, actually, off the top of my head. But then you had Comixology and you have Webtoons, which has continued to have success over the years. And GlobalComix came in, and you guys kind of what you're doing to like really give comic book fans a chance like no other platform has. It's so inclusive and it gives you so many options and like giving you different reader styles. And I was even noticing you could I believe you could even, zoom in on every panel when you upload a book, so you could give that immersive swiping experience from panel to panel. You guys
Yep.
have really kind of just been innovative on giving comic creators, comic fans, just what they want out of a reading app in general, variety and different styles. So where did you come from with all of this? Like, did you have a desire to like kind of lead some of these initiatives? Were you a comic fan just trying to like figure out what was happening to make it better for everyone? What was your comic book upbringing to lead you into GlobalComix and work on these big projects?
Sure. Before I sort of tell my sort of how I got to GlobalComix, I just want to say we are we we have all of those features on the site because we listen to the creators. A lot of the features developed at GlobalComix were directly from feedback we get on Discord and just like conversations with creators participating in our community. Um, Before I was at GlobalComix, I was a fan of GlobalComix and also like a partner with GlobalComix. I was the managing editor at a studio called AWA Studios.
Nice.
Um, I was there for like 3.5 years, working with Axel Alonso and Bill Jemis and a bunch of other wonderful people. And I was working on this story universe, and I met Chris, the founder of GlobalComix, when I was at AWA. And one, he was interested in getting AWA's catalog onto the platform. So, we worked that out between the companies, got the catalog up on the platform. But one of the projects that I was running, I was interested in sort of finding a digital audience for first, like have more of a digital first focused audience, maybe a younger skewing audience for that comic. And Chris really helped me bring it to life in the digital space. We verticalized it together, and we also translated it in 7 different languages for the day of release. So it was pretty cool to sort of get to know Chris and Eric, one of the other founders, years before I even joined the team. So I think we liked working together then, and then when the opportunity came up to actually join the team, it was pretty obvious that it was that's what I wanted to do.
Oh, it's epic. I mean, and having a background in comics, I think, that was a big reason when I became associated with CWS, with doing these shows, doing these interviews, being part of their brand and community, is that they knew I was making comics. They knew I was running a publishing imprint. I run Apollo City Comics. And
Yep.
it's one of those things when you have those ties to the actual craft. It kind of gives it so much more credibility, and I think the fans trust you a lot more in general. And it shows. It's very clear with how you guys present things. It's how you guys market things, the people you talk to, how the app is just laid out, and how carefully crafted it all is. You want people that are in the industry, that like want to be literally in the industry. When you're ignoring the people that are making comics and the fan, and you're just going after the fans, that's different, because you have to find people making comics and that know the process, and they know the strains and the constraints behind comics in general, to actually make strides to changing the landscape. And changing the landscape is kind of what Global is all about. You guys have introduced stuff, I feel like, year after year to somehow elevate the platform as a whole. Which, I mean, it kind of, we'll kind of touch base on it here, but the reason why we're talking today is because you guys are doing exactly that. We partnered up, and now we're talking about where we just launched the big announcement that, we're collaborating. Comix Wellspring and GlobalComix are teaming up on this really big initiative. And I'm really curious, what were your thoughts about teaming up with Comix Wellspring? And if you want to kind of introduce everything we're doing here from the GlobalComix side of things, I'll fill in any gaps on our side as well. But where did all this? So, how do you feel as a comic book fan and part of the company?
Yeah. Well, as a fan of comics and as an observer of the industry for a while now, I think it's a sort of revolutionary step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Not to sound too cheesy, but um, and just to share a bit more about what we're doing is, Global Comics and Comix Wellspring are partnering together to bring a very easy print on demand service to creators and readers starting in the US and then plans to roll it out worldwide. So what that means really is creators don't have to take a risk at holding inventory with this program. They could simply enter the program, and with the technology that Comix Wellspring is bringing to the table and the community of creators and promotion that GlobalComix is bringing to the table to get this, to as many creators as possible, so we can have enough, I guess, print power, as I like to put it, to keep costs fairly down. Creators can upload their books to our portal when we roll it out, and we'll be able to print and send comics directly to the purchaser, the reader, the fans. So there's no inventory sitting in some warehouse somewhere. There's no risk that a publisher has to take with printing a print run of 5,000 to 20,000 or more. And fans can get the books that they love to read, and creators can have the opportunity to actually sell physical books without printing their own bulk, run of books. So we think it solves a lot of problems in the fandom space, also the creator space. And I think there's other problems out there that this could be a solution for too.
Yeah.
And we want to bring books that are just not available easily in the US, or for whatever reason. We want a easy sort of e-commerce experience where you could just get high quality books at a reasonable price delivered straight to your door. And then on the business side of things, like, publishers can't take a risk on every single comic creator doing a full print run, commissioning the development of their books. And so they have to be very selective on like which books they decide to publish and print and distribute. So not every independent creator is ready for that level of publishing, or will see that opportunity. And we want to sort of bridge that gap with the creator community and give them a way in to having print products without sort of that huge commitment of being on a publisher.
And that's insane. Even as I run Policy Comics, which is a small publishing imprint, and so even for like someone like me, this is I'm so excited and so hyped about this maneuver, because a big thing Apollo struggles with as a publisher is we print enough for our Kickstarter, we print enough to table with for a couple of events, and then at that point you have to think about backstock for the website. And I think the number one question I get on shows or in messages to the CWS channel is basically like, hey, like how else can I sell my stuff? Like, what do I do? How do I set up a store? Where do I go for this? What's the easiest, best way to do it? And I'll be completely transparent. Apollo, we're using Big Cartel, and we use a plugin called Pulley, and we do this whole entire backend thing so that it sends them a digital file with a PDF, and they go to a Google Drive link. And then when we get an order in, it goes through, Stripe and then PayPal and then all that type of stuff. And I get it in, and I'm like, okay, now I need to make sure I have enough shipping supplies. Do I have bubble wrap? Do I have tape? Do I have extra, goodies and whatnot? Like, am I going to write a note for this one? Do I even have mailers to like send this out? Or do I have to hunt down boxes to send out this order of, 10 books somebody placed, like, how am I? And then I got to put time aside from that. You do CWS and running a imprint, you got to have like, spouse time and then life, and that just doesn't fit in sometimes. Like, shipment and packaging and mailing and going to the post office is it not to complain or anything.
Yeah.
But it is a hassle when you're doing it all out of your living room. You know what I mean? Like, it is, It does add, and it takes me forever to send out packages sometimes, because I'm just like, dude, it's in my living room. I keep on forgetting. Or I'm just like, man, I only have $3 in my bank account right now. I got to wait till I get paid so I could like buy postage, and postage just went up. Postage just went up 50% for those of you who don't know, or use a pirate ship. I just got the notification that priority packages just went up. So now you're encountering those obstacles with postage and everything. And guess what? This entire initiative, it takes care of all that. And that's insane. Like, I mean, I just have to. My girlfriend's not going to be mad about the amount of boxes that are in the house now. That frees up some space. There's no more hassle. I know my customers are getting the right books. I know that they're getting books with quality that were printed with quality. It's all taken care of, and you're monitoring it all. And you could sell your digital and physical books on GlobalComix, and also be part of a community on that platform. I'm running out of breath with all the features you guys have.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things. That's what you need in comics, is to create community. You need to find other people to reach out to self promote, to share your work with, and giving people the power to now sell their books to customers, or give them a link while they table at an event, being like, oh, I'm out, check out my GlobalComix website, you could order one right away. There you go, you're still making sales at your booth, and people are still getting their books within days with
Right.
this new initiative.
Yeah,
Insane.
I mean, I think there's something to be said with, like, you know, printing what you need for conventions, maybe having your own, like, you know, ones to give to your friends and sell where you can. But yeah, like you said, this solves a lot of problems with, you know, just life management, admin management on uh, being able to get to the post office and send these out. We want to just make it easy, and we think creators will benefit by having just more time on their hands to create. So
I mean, that's a key part too of it, is just giving power back to creators. I think, comics as an industry, it's so difficult. Like, I'm sure you've encountered your list of issues with, working with your past jobs and then going into global, like navigating comics is a different type of beast than I think any other, entertainment factor in general. But you guys also just don't cater to Marvel, DC, and the big one ups. Like, you guys are so indie focused as well, which is, I think, I never really felt that with Comixology. I never really, you definitely didn't feel that with Marvel Unlimited or these DC apps or anything. But why the push? What drew you guys to indie comics? What drew you into independent books to work for a publisher like what you were doing with ADW? I forgot their name.
AWA.
AWA. There you go. Yeah.
You know, like, growing up, I was always like a fan of, like, you know, the big heroes, Spider-Man, Superman. I never was like I'm a Marvel kid, I'm a DC person, or but I think around halfway through college, one of my friends was reading Saga, and that's like when it was new. That's how, if you do the math, that's how old. That's how old when I was in college. And so I thought that book was really interesting looking, because, like, I've never seen a comic like that before at the time. And so I started to explore some of other Brian K. Vaughan stories, like Y the Last Man, Ex Machina. And I really found this whole world of, like, independent comics, like, that being published. You can go to the store and pick up Image or Dark Horse, or, all these cool stories that aren't superhero based. And it really, like, sort of opened my eyes to, like, comics being a medium and not a genre of superheroes. And so, and then I went to school for design, and, learned the whole production process. I know how to set up all the pages and, run sort of prepress and all of that stuff. That's sort of where I started.
So much work.
Yeah. So, I've always thought that, like, it was just an interesting form of storytelling for all sorts of stories that needed to be told. And I think the word indie is interesting, because, like, you and I probably think of indie in different ways. Like, indie in our world might be like Image Comics, or,
Yeah.
which is like indie, but like in the world of, like, GlobalComix, that's like a pretty major publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And on sort of, like, I think what a lot of people think of indie, they think of, like, an independent creator, maybe a 1 or 2 person team, having a self-funded project, being able to tell their own story and bring it out to the world. I think what GlobalComix does well with that is, one, like, unlike Comixology or Marvel Unlimited or DCU, we have a sort of a user creator facing portal where creators can upload their own work and self-publish. And those other platforms do not have that. I mean, there are other platforms who do have it that but aren't really focused on like the full page layout Western comic space.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we do fill that gap nicely of a place for you to publish and share your work. Um, and I think you touched on this earlier. Is just we offer community to our users, and we want to make GlobalComix a place where people feel welcome and secure in like actually publishing their work and like sharing it with other creators and readers and people who might resonate with it. And our community team is amazing. Jackson and Kevin do an amazing job at keeping in contact with creators and making sure they have everything they need to be successful as possible on our platform. And we're always listening, and we always want to like improve the experience. And sometimes we like, admittedly, we get too focused on like the big fish of like, oh, how can we make the most out of like this new like round of DC books, because that's important for our business, and we need to push that type of things forward. But like, our creator community is just as important for our business, as far as the types of people who use our platform and the continued sort of publishing of creator works is a constant flow of material onto the platform that people dive into every day. I also want to mention one thing that some people might not know about yet is we launched a new like sub feature on our site called Pulse. So if you navigate to GlobalComix, there's a menu item called Pulse, and there's a map, and every time someone starts a release, it pops up on that map. So, oh, you found it.
Yeah, bring that right up right here.
Yeah. So you could see, like, if you maybe go over to Europe a little bit.
Zoom out.
Zoom out.
Let's see here. And so like comics will start popping up here once. I think it's also because we're on. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Because it's gotta zoom out a little bit. There we go.
Yeah, you gotta zoom out a bit.
Man.
So you can see what people are reading around the world and dive into other people's interests, like say like in France or in, someone's reading Superman. Cool. If you go, someone's reading Gideon Falls. So it's super interesting to discover stories like this as well.
Yeah. Wow, how epic.
And I think this brings discoverability to a new level, because now all of a sudden a creator in the Midwest, their story could pop up and someone just out of intrigue can, hop into it in, Korea if they wanted to. And we always want to like sort of find those ways to connect communities around the world and just like bring fun comic content to them.
There's a couple of things to touch base on there. That's what I really appreciate about Global and what you're doing, because you also have that crowdfunding option too, where you have like you let people know when a book is getting funded, so it could kind of help them lead to that crowdfunding. And a big concern that's been across the board is how crowdfunding is being utilized by bigger companies, and we saw that with I think there was a Godzilla one, there's Power Rangers, there's all sorts of these big companies utilizing crowdfunding. And a lot of indie creators felt like kind of it's a real tug and pull type of subject with them, because it is really cool. I love seeing a lot of those books. Those Transformer ones were killer, but they feel like the attention gets stripped away from them a little bit. And inside, I think a lot of creators kind of felt hurt a bit in a big way, because they felt like the algorithm and the navigation just shifted on them, where the success they were having on crowdfunding platforms as a whole was kind of getting taken away and being pulled away by these bigger companies, by the bigger food pyramid of publishers and whatnot out there. And I think Global does such a good job on still giving indies their spot in the spotlight, because that's what we need. We need that support. We need that extra voice. And that's why we go to these platforms, is to go like, hey, I need a spot where I can stand out, because not everyone's going to discover, Apollo City Comics just by our website or Instagram. And
Right.
marketing is so hard, and it's also so expensive as an independent. But Global really does give you the way and the opportunity to list yourself and be seen and showcased. And what you were just showing, someone can find your book across the world, and now someone can print it, order it, and they can own it, just by looking at the digital as well. And that's insane too, because I mean, crowdfunding is hard, and being discovered is hard. And even here too, Global was just saying, if you need help setting up crowdfunding, you guys have a video tutorial on your channel to help set it up. So you guys are even giving resources to find even more success. You're not just thinking about, of course it's cool. It's cool to have variety, to have Marvel and, DC and, just some of these bigger companies on your app, because you have all your comics together, just like we all do in our collections. I have all my Marvel, DC, and I have my indie boxes, but having them all together, but not having indies hidden or, maybe algorithmically buried, that's a treasure trove for us. And when you kind of look at that food pyramid of publishers, it's evolved, it's changed now. It used to be just the big two,
Yep.
and now it's kind of the big three. The very top is like Image, Marvel, DC, and then I wouldn't even consider Dark Horse or IDW or Boom or those along those lines. Even Oni Press, I would consider them still major publishers. Once you're in with something like that, you've kind of made it, especially as a creator.
It's a stepping stone. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a stepping stone because you have made it once you're publishing with them, but
Yeah.
you'll see a lot of people like write for Boom first before they might maybe write for DC, or you'll see that progress for creators. But yeah, there's probably like 6 below the big 3 that are like sort of the mid majors.
Yeah.
And then like there's like smaller publishers below that. And I think I also want to call out something we do for independent creators on the platform. Our curation team and content team, every week we have a conversation about what our free featured is. So our curation team, we each pick 2 titles that we saw that are free on our platform, from our creator space, and we create feature cards for them and make sure they show up on the homepage. So every week there's a new crop of free feature titles that appear on the homepage, as well as the free tab. And we, it's a lot of the times there's staff picks and just comics that we believe in, and we want to elevate. But it's an important part of our content meeting each week that we make sure that we're putting something up fresh that might not get seen.
And that means you guys are reading these people's materials too. Like that means that you're investing time and energy into your creators, where it's different from certain situations where Project CB Love is super cool. I love getting that badge all the time. I love if you get featured on an email or a post, but like it's just a page. It's not the true product at that point. But you guys are that invested into your platform, into your creators, into the people that work with you, to like oh, I still read comics. I still have to recommend one. I have to read a couple before I figure out which one's my favorite for this week. You're not just pulling any of them at a random, and that's admirable. Comics aren't easy. It's a busy industry, and you're always nonstop, and there's always another thing you have to edit, fix, correct, whatever. It's hard to find time to just enjoy stuff. And so the fact that you guys take that time to still enjoy new creators and new books and knowing what's coming out there, that's very relevant. Knowing what's being made now and being introduced onto your platform, that's so important, because that means the world to a creator. You get that email and your book's in there, you could cry, honestly. Like,
yeah, no, we see amazing feedback. Like when we put up a title and like someone sees it and we see like a tweet about it, or it's so. And on the other side of like, they think it's like sort of gratifying for them to see it out in the wild, but it's just as gratifying for us to see like, maybe a comic that I picked, like the creators like really happy about like it being picked on Twitter. And I'm like, oh yeah, I picked that.
That's,
Just like your
talking
amazing
about
creation. Yeah.
a time where like you just kind of need something good to happen in your day, getting
Yeah.
that notification, like that could just transform someone's entire week, and that's what's great about global as a whole. And as we continue this rollout and as we continue to support creators, one thing to note, very important, we're rolling out with a certain amount of sizes for books. We're focusing on standard. We want to get the standard comic done right and show we can do it and knock that out of the park as we expand and add more in. So not every print size is available upon immediate launch, but they are going to be rolling down along the lines through production and everything as well.
Yeah, so there are 3 print sizes that we're launching
Mhm.
this program with. One is a pretty standard comic book size. Uh, the other one is a manga size, which is a B4 aspect ratio page size. And then the last one is more of a magazine, like oversized comic print.
Mhm.
So, we want to cater to all creators for our printing initiatives. But for us to be able to do this efficiently and economically, especially at launch, we have to keep it constrained a little bit to make sure we do these 3 things very well, and nothing falls through the cracks as we grow. Um, so, there may be some production work for some creators being able to transform their current comics into these 3 formats or one of these 3 formats. But you've done all this work creating the comic. I bet uh, InDesign pretty well. so like, not to say like we want to put extra work on you, but if you want to talk about it as a creator, if you want to talk about it with the people actually handling the print on demand program, please reach out to us at contact at globalcomics.com. Or you can just send me an email at will@globalcomics.com, and we can talk about it. Like Brandon said, we're always interested in expanding the sizes, like as we move forward, as well as like maybe one day we'll have different, like, not just books. Maybe you'll be able to upload a image of your cover, and you can sell posters or trading cards or stuff like that. That we're always looking into as well.
And that's what's really fun about it too, is that just running off your last statement, is that we all some of us create an online store. Like we use a big cartel as our server, and that's where we put our t-shirts, our mugs, our all of our books and everything. And it's a whole process to knock a lot of that out, to eventually know that, like, I've seen our timeline, I know our ideas, where we're going. But that's what's great, is that we're trying to just help you create your own indie comic store. Every indie comic creator is essentially their own business. And when you table at an event, that's your pop-up shop. That's where you have to impress and make it look awesome. You want something attractive to bring people in. And when you do these cons, it's all part of that ecosystem. And to have a central hub where you're not having 7 different ways to order something and to do something and promote all this stuff, like to go to a global comic site and then promote each other. That's insane, especially for a publisher for who has works with multiple creators, and how you could handle the payouts and everything and add members to your team and kind of navigate some of the finances on that. That is super enlightening. It makes it easier. It makes it easier on you as a publisher financially. There's a lot of little things that you guys have programmed into your back end that I've never seen before. Or some of these apps, like or websites like Big Cartel, they don't offer some of these services or plugins that actually utilize that type of service. Because for us, we have to divvy up money. We have to see how many books have sold by this creator, pay them out, etc. But you could just kind of funnel that over to someone through your member channel. And as a publisher, I'm mind blown, because I'm like, everyone, you all need to go jump on Global, get your stuff up there, because I'm a one-man show sometimes, and it's hard. Like, my team is wonderful. Eric, Alex, Javi, and Jade, and like my main core team, they're the best people ever. But it's a lot to manage. So you guys are giving even more. I mean, this whole show, we should have a list of things that you guys just do for indie creators, or just fill up the
Well,
entire screen.
I mean, all of those features that you're pointing at on our back end, especially with the counting, the geo restrictions, the all the different ways you can monetize and attribute money to specific creators under your publishing umbrella and Global Comics. That I have to assume, and this is before my time at the platform, that just speaks to our founder, Chris Carter's obsessiveness of what the comic industry needs.
Yeah.
He is obsessed with it, fulfilling those needs and really building a overall holistic product that um, you know actually works for creators and publishers. And I think we have a lot of work to do on both, showing how valuable these tools can be, as well as just continuing to build upon them. I think there's always something that is in the works that is going to improve either the reader's experience or the creator's experience. And it's something I know our product team thinks about every day of how just how these books interact with the outside world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's where we align on so many of our initiatives too, is just delivering quality to these creators and giving them what they need to actually be. I mean, just for like loose example, CWS is micro perf like that. If you want to sell a book and it's protected and you just hand it off that way, beautiful. What you guys are doing with accounting and financing, insane, revolutionary. And it's crazy because not a lot of people kind of realize this on the back ends or really notice it right away. It feels so complex when you walk into it, but it's really because you guys have really tried to make it the one place you need to go. And I don't think any creator kind of realizes how much they could utilize GlobalComix, even from your Discord channel that you guys have set up, which is a lot of fun, a lot of community responses, a lot of promotions going on there. It's kind of unreal. Like, I think not enough people know about what you guys are servicing in that aspect. And then
I want to call out the micro perf of the Comix Wellspring product. This is awesome to be able to get a comic in the mail that has a protective sheet on it. So like when I get this like really cool metallic cover, it's not all scratched up or like bent or anything. Like this is such a thoughtful detail that, this company cares about its consumers and creators and cares about the product that they're putting into people's hands. So this is what it looks like. And you could order awesome, cool foil comics like this through Comix Wellspring as well. This is from a creator named Pablo Starr. He's an amazing guy, amazing creator. Go check out Cyberpink if you haven't.
Yeah, they just wrapped up a Kickstarter. It was super great. They knocked it out of the park. Their advertising was amazing. We were so hyped to see that come through. And stuff like that is, even the foils are going to eventually be down the line with our print on demand, down the line for sure, because it's a specialty product, but it's something that we're working on to make sure that everyone's getting every aspect of their comic book desires printed through you guys. And so like overall, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Like what do you think, is there anything else in the background that you think is missing in GlobalComix that you want to see come to life soon, or that maybe you guys are loosely working on that you could kind of somewhat announce along with this one too, to see if concerns from creators or hypeness? Because I feel like you hit so many cylinders. I don't know what's left at that point from printing, publishing, distribution, online shops, finances.
I think there are always like sort of these digital marketing tools that we could help sort of build a suite of through GlobalComix that I've seen great examples out there. People building actual useful sort of campaigning tools for, launches and stuff like that. But, we're open to ideas. I think on the content side of things, keep an eye out throughout the summer. Of course, there's going to be announcements for new books coming on board, new publishers coming on board. We're really interested in bringing on more manga from Japan, and as well as just expanding our offering, just to really be completists of the comic world, and we want to bring as much of the stories that our fans want to see to the platforms to just bring as much enjoyment as possible.
That, and it's like you guys are also also pioneering a lot of education. I know there's a lot of education videos out there, but
Yeah.
even bringing up file formatting and crowdfunding and whatnot. Like I know with Comix Wellspring, we're planning to go through platforms like, Photoshop, InDesign to format files, and then Affinity Publisher. If people haven't heard of Affinity, it's a great program to work on your comic files and everything. Procreate, stuff like that. Like giving those education aspects, I think is going to be a big aspect with how big your community is, and highlighting it because you guys have such a rich library, and you even feature it on the GlobalComix website and homepage, or app as well, is the watch button. And that
Yep.
watch button, we're integrating with comic creators and promoting stuff and giving those educational tips. I think again, how do you do everything DC and them were trying to do like a few years ago by giving you a streaming platform, a comic book reader, a community Discord? You guys nailed it. Like it's mind boggling how well you guys did that.
I mean, we just have an amazing team. Like you spoke on education. I want to call out Jackson because I know they're in the thread right now, and they do an amazing job at creating these educational videos for our creator community. Really hopping on any call or email that comes our way with questions like that. So huge kudos to Jackson. And as well as just like our forward thinking product team and like how we think about providing value to our users. It's more than just being able to find a comic book and open it. It's how you spend your time while you're with us. And it's we want to provide value through video, through pulse, through chat, through community, through our Discord. And it's all a part of this sort of our vision of a sort of a digital Comic-Con 24/7. And this is sort of how we talk about it internally a lot. It's just like, what does that look like? And like, what things can we bring to life that like really brings that more than just reading experience to this digital realm. And we want to continue to like strive to that goal and improve that.
That's, I mean, awesome. I mean, it's kind of no brainer why we teamed up together too, because when you look at Comix Wellspring and what we do for the shows, or the live drawing show where I didn't know how to draw, and then every week just went on like live air and just learned how to draw every week, and now we're making comics every week, to doing these upcoming videos and all these interviews where it's just insight and insight. And Inspired Ink has always been about the struggles and rewards of making comics, and having creators, talk about those things, vent to them, and give the advice to creators of what we do and how to like find success and also happiness in comics, because it's a very draining job, and just it doesn't matter if you're a creator or if you're in this industry. It's wild. It's like it is a Comic-Con 24/7, or prepping for a con 24/7. It seems like whenever you're like in the realm of everything, and it's one of those things where even with we're supplying supplies to people, blue line paper, we just wrapped up the Kickstarter for panels, the Comic Book Creators Guidebook, like all the visions, all the stuff you hear us talk about on CWS are everything GlobalComix wanted, and everything you guys are doing are what we wanted. And I'm surprised, like especially on the show, we talk about creators promoting each other. You got to find love in the community and share and uplift. Rising tides make all ships sail. I forget what the term is off the top of my head. My friend Eric says all the time. But it's one of those things where like indie creators do it. Why aren't companies like us teaming up to make sure that each other finds success out there, and we can actually do it by just unifying, and by unifying, change the landscape. Even going back to that food pyramid of comic book companies, that means like companies like Apollo and Cosmic Lion and these literal indie publishers can rise into the next level of the food pyramid, and these underground creators can enter a higher realm of indie and get noticed. It's something we all want, and it's like one of those things where the world's a little crazy right now. Enjoying some comics and finding someone it's going to uplift you along the way, it's needed. It's a necessity practically, and that's kind of your goal at this point, is to kind of like, oh well, how do I make comic creators even happier? Like, how do I deliver on that? It's good stuff. It's really good stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited for what's to come with you guys. It is really like, we've been looking at printing and print on demand and how we can bring something like this to creators for a long time. Before I even joined the company, there was like, they were trying to figure out a solution for this. And, you know, many conversations later, like I knew when like we met your team, you know, met with your CEO and Tim and Dan and Tim in New York. And it was just really it was a electric conversation of like just excitement of like what the possibilities were. And like I just knew it was like the right group of guys to like to try to figure out a path forward on this initiative with. And I'm glad we just like stuck with it, and like we're bringing this to life. It's happening.
It's kind of like back in the day. I guess it applies to comic creators too. But like when you would find other musicians and you kind of jam once, and you're just like, "Oh man, this really worked well. Like we should jam
Yeah,
again."
that's
You keep on
exactly
having those ideas, and it just works. And you're like, "Dude, we wrote a song in 8 hours," and you're just drenched in sweat. And you're like, "We're just sweaty in a garage." You're like, "This is amazing, though.
oh,
Like
this is
this
gonna
is
work.
so
It's gonna
exciting."
work.
Like, and you know, we've been working round the clock for what, almost a month now, getting this going and getting the page. And actually, everyone knows you could check out the landing page here. There's a press release in the landing page from the Comix Wellspring website, along with all of Will's information. So if you guys have extra questions, and by all means, if you guys have questions, ask them in the chat still. But if you guys have extra questions that you want to send our way, please, by all means, shoot us a message and inquire a little bit. Because there's so much to this that it's hard to, there's a level of excitement and a level of like unleashing information piece by piece to make sure everyone's on the same page and that things are rolling out properly.
And
But
I do want to say, for the print on demand program, I've been reaching out personally to about a group of 30 creators who use GlobalComix to get their initial interest in the print on demand program, and sort of helping them out with files, making sure like they're uploaded to the right place, and like, you know, slowly collecting files and sort of building our catalog offering for this program. But if you're a creator and interested in this program, please reach out to us, and we'll just sort of put you through that same process of getting you the right specs, making sure we get you a file upload link, and making sure we just like making you understand like what all of this entails. And you know, we want to help out as much as possible, even if that's just a lot of one-off phone calls. But I think we should maybe think about like organizing a group call for a group of
yeah,
creators, and maybe we could approach it that way too.
yeah, no, honestly, that was we would love to do stuff like that too, to like host stuff and even do webinars with you guys as well to kind of answer
Absolutely.
some of these. That's the biggest thing we want to do. And you know, speaking of which, since you do, you know, I didn't realize before the call that you did so much like in prepress and to like go to, like in depth with file formatting. What's the biggest thing that you notice with, you know, corrections with file formatting that maybe you can address a little bit and kind of help people out for some guidance?
Well, like on the, it really depends on what type of printing you're going into, whether it's like offset or digital. And you know, most publishers use offset printing, which is for large print runs of like 5,000 to 25,000 books, all printed in one press. But I think the biggest thing I saw throughout the years with that was like, you know, it's minor, but like just absolute blacks, and like using the right like sort of color profiles for like tones on your pages. It's sort of hard to understand, like maybe 100% black isn't going to work for like your desired result, but like it's actually like a nuanced like 87 and like on the CMY scale of like, you know, what that absolute black is for that specific printer. And I think digital printing has a different set of rules. You could print with RGB files, and you know, it's a easier of a conversion. Someone's going to fact check me on that and be like, no, you can't. But I think, you know, in general, like working with creators at a publishing level, like the artists are sort of told what the deliverable needs to be at the very beginning of the project. So like there's usually not too many surprises. And then there is like sort of that final check of like running it through Photoshop and making sure there's an action to make sure all the printer specs are, set up on that page.
Yeah.
So
No, honestly, I think that's the same thing we encounter a lot with just, color corrections, tonnage, how things were layered or if they weren't flattened properly. Flattening your files is like the most important thing ever because I could really mess
yeah,
with the print. I've seen some crazy stuff come out of that printer that was just like, I know that wasn't intentional, but that's the way your file came out.
it's funny, Brandon. Like I've been running our vertical production studio for the last year and a half or so, and I have to think about files in a different way now because I need files delivered to me from creators in a way that I need all of the like sort of vector based balloons and EPS balloons like intact on a separate layer. And then I need all the pages to just be flat art with no balloons on them. And then we run it through a different production process to be able to execute on the digital first stuff. And you just have to sort of like understand what's possible, and it's trial and error. And but if you're not sure as a creator what you should do with your files, keep your layers. Unless you're told to flatten it, save a version with your layer somewhere else and then flatten it.
Yeah,
Keep your layers.
Yeah, because you could make those edits so much better that way. At that point. And that's probably we'll be doing those tutorial videos coming up. We have people like Max Flowers and Jade Louder who are going to walk us through some of these things. And also the CWS website does have information on templates you could use to make sure your books are the right size to start. We've seen all sorts of template sizing changing, or maybe it just didn't fit right when you're just put too big of a page or too small of a page and whatnot. So those templates are really important, and just knowing, checking out information on the site before you go and actually even start a project, to check out what you're printing first. It all starts from how am I getting this printed. And what's also great is with this print on demand push is that you can order a proof technically and not, we do have a higher number for proofs because it includes shipping, it includes the one-off. But now with this new service, that's going to be shifting a lot with CWS, and you could technically just get a proof for a couple bucks, list it, buy one copy, and that's your proof, and kind of utilize that and then continue printing a full run or something. So there's ways to make it easier, find more financially accessible for a lot of creators just to get stuff checked and see what it looks like in your hands before placing a giant order. And then also, our bulk discounts are going to be way more intense with this too. So you could actually team up with creators more and get higher bulk discounts. Max Flowers, he's the co-host on Spilled Ink. He also says, please pay attention to margarines before you print stuff.
Yes.
Hands down. Yes. He also asks, what's the elevator pitch for GlobalComix? Or like top bullets of why you should hop on for both creators and readers.
Wow. Oh, well, elevator pitch for readers to join the platform and subscribe is we're the best value in comics. We have over 100,000 comics on the platform. And it's like so big of a number, like it's just like a number now. Like, that's a lot of comics. And we're continuously adding new comics every day, every month. There's probably 3,000 to 5,000 new titles, comics added to the platform. Some months are higher, some months, are around 3. And we hope to continue to grow that. And our subscription is $6.99 a month.
Just changed.
So for $6.99 a month, you get access to 100,000 comics, as well as some of the like biggest titles in comics, like from DC, IDW, Dark Horse, Image, and a whole community of independent creators. I think we're pushing 10,000 creators on the platform, just publishing their own works, user generated content from, your friend in high school to, someone who's like about to break into like, being the next star, and the whole range of different independent creators. So you could find your next favorite story, and we have a great community. You could find your friends on GlobalComix, And I think that's the part I'm so excited about for GlobalComix is like we have the ability to like really push this platform further to make it just like your home base for comic culture in general. And we want to make it so like you find your friends on GlobalComix that like cosplaying like you do, or really resonated with the same books as you do. So we're going to continue to push that, and we want to make it an overall experience and not just a place where we read, even though that's a big part of it.
Well, even like the chat rooms and all that's a great addition, and it kind of gives us back to those forum days, you know what I mean, or early MySpace and stuff. You know, like Reddit's so big right now. I think that's like why people are going towards that, you know, gravitational pull of communication, because it was just funner, it was simpler, it was kind of nice, and it's a quick promotion too. We were dipping in and out of there promoting stuff. And I'm going to compare your pitch to Eric's just because he's here. We're the most creator friendly, responsive place to publish. Stand next to the biggest names, build community, not just sales. Your comics your way. Awesome, dude.
Eric's always trying to steal my spotlight. I see you, Eric.
For readers, we are the most comic-focused place with the best reading experience, community, and value for your money. You support you support creators directly by reading them. Love that.
Yep.
I love what you guys stand for. I love what you guys are doing. I can't wait to work more with you guys and talk to you guys more. And well, for one, Comix Wellspring, we just opened an account on GlobalComix. I was really fortunate when I came on board with the company, and I got to curate a couple of really cool anthologies. We did a free comic book day one, and we did another Heroes Con one, and we're doing some other ones. We did Baltimore as well, and so we're going to be doing more anthologies pretty soon. But they're listed on the GlobalComix site right now for you to read, for you to check out. I'll probably be doing that more just so I could I love putting together. We have a new anthology with Policy Comics. I love doing anthologies. Nice. They're so much fun.
Well, I'll have to put it in free featured. Is it free?
Yeah, it's free. Oh, yeah. It's I don't think I haven't told you guys yet. I think I just finished it this week, so you're all good. But Apollo City Comics is going to hop on there this week as well. I'm so hyped to have our whole catalog on there. Our account is open. We have like 20 books to upload. That's why it's just a daunting task that I'm just like, I'm talking to the editors to do this. It's a lot of just a lot of time, but it's so cool. I can
show you how to bulk upload. We could talk offline.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, we'll get that knocked out. But that's insane. I mean, there you go. Just answering another cool thing. And we'll give you guys more tutorials and more answers to things, and more announcements as things roll out. But that kind of wraps up the conversation. If there's no more questions, you know what, Will? Top 3 reads that you want to suggest right now. How about that? Throw you on the spot. This is an interview show.
I'm going to look at the GlobalComix site just to get my mind going a little bit, because I look at this all day. I'm like,
I feel that it's so hard. It's like when someone asks what your top favorite movies are, and you're like, I've never seen a movie.
And I'm not going to pick my favorite books either. I'm going to pick you should go check this out.
Okay, yeah.
You know, there's a creator on GlobalComix who creates this series called Fubun. And I think it's adorable. But they just published a new series called Luna and Bean. And it's like a kid's book, but I don't know if I'm just like an inner kid, but I have an inner child. But I think it's a really nice story. And if you enjoy that one, go check out Fubun as well. Big fan of that.
Oh, Kenneth, we do print magazine size. It's one of our options too, but it's also going to be an available size for the print on demand as well. Fubu Bun was our comic of the day today as well.
Oh, nice.
Artwork. Oh, cool. How rad. That's super rad.
Some of the stuff that Mad Cave is putting out under their manga imprint there is really good. So we're going to check that out. I think they just published a book called Indigo that is a really pretty book. Go check that out.
And Mad Cave is another publisher that's gone up. Like they are an indie publisher, I would say, hands down. They're like what if I was going to level up as of where I'm at from self-publishing and doing that, Mad Cave or a publisher along those levels, there were so many that have kind of changed, like Source Point and Scout and stuff like that. But like Mad Cave has been very pinnacle. They also print with Comix Wellspring. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, I saw a Dick Tracy book on there, and I was like, "Is this our stuff?" And then I checked some stuff, and I was like, "That's our stuff." Like,
Nice.
so I mean, if you guys want some quality checks for those who haven't checked out Apollo stuff, pick up a Mad Cave book. Probably printed through us.
And last one, go check out Falling Awake. It's like a GlobalComix classic. It's one of our independent creators on the platform, Jan Ditlev. It's been on the platform for a long time, but I think he's constantly sort of giving it a little update. It's a super immersive sci-fi sort of space adventure story, beautifully drawn. I think he comes from the video game world, and it's just a one-person team, and it's just amazing what he was able to produce. Super, super good.
Awesome. Love it, dude. Well, this has been an insane, a very informative, very information packed, probably the most info packed interview I've done in a while. And also probably one of the most challenging because I knew the answers to a lot of things and I had to like act like I don't because I'm interviewing. So that was weird to work around.
Yeah, we should do this again and just not be so information packed.
Yeah, this was like a PR interview pretty much. Like everyone was taking notes the entire time, trying to catch all the info of what we're offering. Read Heck now. Yeah, check out Heck. There you go. Go read Heck. I'm gonna go read Heck now.
Another classic.
I don't know if it's I'll go read Heck now as in common now though. Yeah, but like what he was doing. But yeah, not Heck now, just Heck. But yeah, down.
I think they just published like a new no, I think they just I emailed with them today. So
it's at the end of a Monday and a crazy eventful day in general. Both of us are in the same mindset. But Will, dude, thank you so much. Thanks for doing what you do. Thank you to GlobalComix and Chris and to everyone I've interacted with on the team. They've all been so nice and so generous, and just so sweet and super fun. And I'm kind of getting goofier in the chat a little bit more all the time, and it's kind of fun being able to do that. And you guys have just been great to talk to work with, and I can't wait to really just have this print on demand option available for everyone. We're all going to jump onto it. Apollo's going to be on it. We're going to be promoting it like crazy. And guess what? For those who didn't know, because of this announcement, Comix Wellspring is offering 10% off of all book orders until the end of August. There's a code in our press release. There's a code in the email. You can check all that in the I always say product description, episode description below, along with Will's contact info and anything else you guys might need about this. This has been also go check out Bigfoot Defender, and I love that. GlobalComix, thank you, Comix Wellspring, for having me. Will and share the great news. Thank you guys so much. Will, any last words?
Just thank you, Brandon. This is super fun. Just I hope I can do it again sometime. And that bulk discount code that you mentioned is Global C10. So
C10.
Go order your books. Look out for more updates about this program. We'll be rolling out more things over the next couple months. And just always look for updates about what we're doing. Invite your friends into the comics community. It's actually really, really cool here. So, and they're always welcome. So continue to, continue to create and continue to just make friends. Yeah.
That's literally like the sign off. Thanks for hanging. Stay inspired. And I forgot the rest of it. It's been so long since I've done the show. I messed that up. Well, just stay inspired. Thank you guys. Make some comics, and we'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
So much.